Welcome to this episode. I'm so excited to share this concept with you, the year-end review process, and why this is an important success habit for you as an independent consulting business owner. So let's dive in. At the moment I'm recording this, it's December 2021. Already forgotten what year it is. It's like such a time warp right now. So you might be at the same place where you're watching this now and ready to plan for the next year. Or you might be watching this in the middle of the year. I recommend don't turn it off, listen to it, and think about the concepts I'm going to share with you as the next 12 months. It's a rolling 12 months. I'm always considering my business as a rolling 12 months versus a fixed calendar 12 months. It makes all the difference as you're thinking about things and whether or not you feel like you're starting over at zero or not. So anyway, that's an aside to tell you, look at this process as something that can happen at any point in the year, not just a December or January type of a task. So the reason why I wanted to focus on this topic today, creating an impactful year-end review process for your independent consulting business, is because this is a technique that you can use to make the next year or the next 12 months your best yet for your business. And it's a tool that many consultants avoid implementing, myself included. I love avoiding this, even though I know how important it is. And so I really want to bring it to your attention about why it's so important and how to make this year-end review process kind of fun for yourself as well. So let's dive into the topic, and I'll give you the whole blueprint of how to implement this for yourself. The couple of things before we start. Number one, I did create a workbook for you where I walk you through the exact steps that I'm going to give you today, along with 2 more steps that I will share with you in 2 future videos so that you have a full 3-step process to implement your yearly business planning for your independent consulting business. So go to the website. It's melissalieberman.com/plan. I will put the link in the episode notes here as well. Go download and get that workbook so that you can follow along with this process and implement it for your business. Let's dive in now. So let's talk today about why is a year-end review, why should it be non-negotiable as a success habit for you as a consulting business owner? Number 2, why would you want to avoid it? And the reasons why you shouldn't let that happen. And then thirdly, we'll talk about the process to make your year-end review very effective and also fun. So that's what we're going to cover today. First, let's talk about why should the year-end review be non-negotiable for you as a business owner. In a nutshell, what I have found for myself as a business owner for the last almost 10 years, as well as for my consulting business owner clients, it comes down to when you do this type of work, the year-end review, it's the difference between growth and stagnation. It's the difference between growth and moving forward to the business you truly want versus continuing in a feast or famine cycle and repeating the same results over and over again and stagnating. This is the difference. If you are in a place where your business is exactly where you want it to be, where you're making the amount of income you want to be making, where you're working with the clients you love and making an impact that you know you're capable of, that level of impact, and you're working in the schedule you want to be working, where you've got that balance and that free time and the space for both your personal life and to run your business, then you don't need to do this year-end review. You've got it all dialed in. But for most of us, we do want to accomplish something more. We want to accomplish something different than what we've already accomplished. It could be more income for you. It could be a better schedule that's more balanced, where you do have space to work on your business, not just in your business, where you have space to take guilt-free time off. It might be that you want to work with clients where you're making a greater impact and doing work that is more meaningful to you. It, whatever it is for you, if you want more for you and your consulting business, then I recommend implementing this year-end review process for your business. It's going to give you this awareness of what you want to amplify, what you want to do more of, what you want to eliminate, and what you want to adjust, so that you can consistently iterate and adjust moving forward and keep moving forward toward the goals that you've set for yourself. So if it's so important, I think we will all agree logically it's really important, unless again, you're at a place where everything's amazing and you don't want to accomplish anything more. And quite honestly, there are some independent consultants like that, like people who are retired and just kind of want to have a little bit of a side income and a side challenge. But that's not you, most likely, if you're here listening to this video. You do want more. And so why aren't you doing it? I know for me, I've been doing this for almost 10 years. There have been times where I've avoided it too. And it's because we're humans and our brains are designed to avoid pain, emotional pain in this case. It feels terrible a lot of times to look back at the last 12 months, even if you've accomplished a tremendous amount, even if you've hit your goals. It can feel terrible to look back and see where, oh, I failed at this, or this didn't go the way that I planned, or something didn't go the way I wanted it to. We as humans are designed to avoid looking at those things because it makes us feel bad. It slows us down. And it takes a lot of mental energy, which our bodies and our brains are designed to expend the least amount of energy possible. So that's how our brain is wired, to keep looking ahead. And so it's really important just to know that. You're not doing this because you're not avoiding creating your year-end review because you don't have enough time. You have 15 minutes. I know you can find it. Or another reason or excuse I often hear is I'll do that later. My full results haven't come in yet for December. I'll do that in January. It's like a bad diet. January becomes February, then it never happens. So the real reason why we're avoiding it isn't because of a lack of time or some justification of why later is better. It's truly because your brain is wired to avoid feeling negative emotion. So it certainly wouldn't want to afflict it upon itself. So with that, let's just know that and move forward so that you can create this year-end evaluation from a place of non-judgment of yourself and overcome that resistance and make this an effective process for yourself. You might not want to do it. It's like working out, but you know that you need to do it for the health of your business. So knowing that it's really important to implement a year-end assessment process in order for you to build upon the results and grow the results that you've already created versus recreating the same results over and over again. I want to share with you the process that you can leverage to create a very effective and even fun year-end assessment process for yourself and your business. So the first step of this process is to set some ground rules with yourself. You want to get into a productive mindset versus a judgmental mindset. And the way to do that is agree with yourself upfront that this will be, when you're conducting the assessment process, the year-end review process, that it's a zero judgment zone. That when you think things like this, I should have done this, I should have known this, I wish I would have this, just notice that as almost like a sentence going by through your brain, like the ticker in Times Square, right? It's just like, oh, that's just going through my brain. It's not a problem. I'm not going to latch on to it and agree with it. Because what that does is layer on judgment, which feels terrible, which either makes you want to shut down this process entirely, or it waters down the results that you get because you're so fixated on what went wrong that you can't even see kind of the forest through the trees. Then this next step of this process, and this is what I think is fun. So it might be kind of dorky, but it's really, in my mind, fun, is thinking about this as a team meeting. Think about it that you're preparing to meet with the CEO, which is you, and imagine and execute this assessment from all of the different vantage points, the roles that you play in your business, the things like the chief revenue officer, the chief marketing officer, the chief operating officer, the chief financial officer, and of course, the actual employee, the consultant who's doing the work. Think about your assessment from that 360-degree view so that it can be a richer process and also kind of fun, right? When you're kind of role playing this versus it being all on you, all heavy on you. It's more of you thinking about it as you're just playing all of these roles in the organization. And what would the person, when I'm wearing the CFO hat, what would I be thinking, or what would I be kind of assessing of this past year? Again, a way to lift off some of the judgment that you, if you're like most independent consultants, are layering onto yourself. Okay, so then the next step of the process is to prepare your agenda, essentially. Prepare the questions you're going to ask yourself. And again, these are in that workbook that I offered to you. You can go to melissalieberman.com/plan. And this is all in here, along with 2 more steps that will be future videos. So you'll have everything together and can go answer these for yourself. But what you're going to want to do is create your agenda. You're going to want a couple of framework or approaches that I want to share with you. Are number 1, start with the positive. Start with, what have I accomplished in this past 12 months? One of the questions I love is, what are my top 50 accomplishments for this past year? It's pretty easy to get to 20, 30. It's pretty challenging to fill that list of 50 because you're not wanting to give yourself credit for what you did accomplish, either thinking it's not good enough, it's not finished enough, it's not something enough. But take that away for a moment and just really look at what you've done for what it is, what you've accomplished so far. Give yourself the permission, give yourself credit for those accomplishments. Not only does it help you to see what you're accomplishing in your business, because most of the time we're looking for problems. That's how our brain is trained as consultants, right? We're looking for problems. We're looking for what we need to fix. And it's really challenging to get into the headspace of what have we already done and accomplished. So starting with the process, with getting yourself into that positive headspace, can make the problem solving that we'll do later in the agenda much more powerful. And believe me, for a long time, I just ignored this. I was like, yeah. I know the positive stuff in my head. I want to focus on the fixes, on the solutions, and the things that I need to dive into deeper. When I actually stopped being so stubborn and created and followed the process that I'm sharing with you, I came up with so many more innovative ideas and solutions and things to try for the coming year. So that's why I'm so passionate about this for you. The next thing that I want to point you to is another episode that I've already recorded, number 39, which is the formula to be a strategic thinker. And in there, I talk about the difference between empowering questions and disempowering questions. So you want to go back to that episode and listen to it and think about it as an important prerequisite to the way that you're framing your year-end review questions. But in a nutshell, to share that with you here, you want to frame your year-end review assessment questions in a way that are questions that you actually want the answer to. I'll give you a simple example. How could I make my business work in 4 days next year? That's a very forward-thinking, solution-oriented, empowering version of a question. How can I work? How can I adjust what I'm doing to work only 4 days of the week and have a 3-day weekend? Versus, why can't I take a day off? Our brain is designed to answer the question in the literal way we ask it. So on one hand, you're asking yourself for solutions about how can I work 4 days a week and overcome whatever the perceived limitations are right now, versus why can't I stop working so much? Our brain is designed to find all the evidence for whichever way we ask the question. So think about that as you're designing this agenda. Next, a few questions that you might want to include. I think I said must here. It's not a must, but definitely a strong recommendation. What are my top 50 accomplishments for this year? I already explained to you why the number 50. What 20 fails did I achieve? I frame this as achieve. If you haven't failed at all, then there's a different problem. You're staying in such a comfort zone that you not failing could be a red flag in that case. Who did I become this year? How am I different as a business owner? How am I different as the CFO? How am I different as the consultant employee? So ask yourself those types of questions. Ask yourself, I love using scales of 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, how strong is my lead generation right now? Why did I pick that number? Ask yourself what worked. What worked in my business? Ask yourself what didn't work in my business. Ask yourself, what will I do differently in my business? So those are some examples of questions you can ask yourself. And again, they're in that workbook that I created for you. So go download that and you'll have it all ready to go for yourself. Okay, so finally, we're going to go, now that you have the team assembled, you have the ground rules in place, you have your agenda ready. Now what you want to do is execute that year-end review. So go and answer those questions that you put on your agenda from all the different vantage points. If I'm the CEO, what would I be asking? What would I be thinking related to this question on the agenda? If I'm the CFO, what would I be asking? What would I be thinking? What would my recommendations be? Just put yourself in all those different hats and see what it creates such a well-rounded year-end review for you. And it can be fun. It can be fun. This doesn't have to be torture. All right. Then finally, let's put this process into your standard operating procedures. Make it part of the way you do business as a success habit. Put it in place. I do this monthly, quarterly, and yearly. Figure out what that rhythm is for you in your business. Could be a mini one monthly, bigger quarterly, and then kind of the full gamut yearly, for example. You might consider taking a couple of roles, like I'll do the CFO and the CRO for Q1 and the CMO Q2 and the COO Q3. Mix it up and figure out what makes the most sense for you, but definitely implement this as a standard operating procedure. So go put this into action and then tune in next week. I will share with you the next part of our prep and planning for this next year to come, or the next 12 months to come, wherever you are when you're listening to this. All right. And then finally, in the meantime, I can help you with a shortcut to all of this. It's called the IC, Independent Consultant Success Blueprint process. And in that process, I will give you a pre-assessment to go through. So you get really clear on the current state of your business and what your goals are, why you've set those goals, what your obstacles are. And then when we get on the Zoom call to go through this success blueprint process together, we'll both have that same common context, and we'll be able to dive deep into your business to figure out exactly what it is that you want to accomplish in the next year, why you want to accomplish that, what's holding you back from accomplishing it already, and what the next 2 to 3 steps make sense for you to implement in your business so that you can move forward faster to the goal that you've set for yourself. So go book one of those IC Blueprint calls. There's more information on the page, IC Blueprint, and I look forward to meeting with you in person. See you again next week.